If you're a coach who wants to get more clients in 2023 and wants to do so without social media, then this is for you. Stay tuned. I'm going to cover everything you need to know about getting more clients for your coaching business without social media. Let's get into it. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health, life and spiritual coaches get more clients so they can make more money and live their most aligned life. Now today on the show, I'm going to be talking about how you can get more clients in 2023 without social media. I've actually talked about this topic before in my episode that I did about how to market your coaching business without social media. I will link to that above. I will also make sure that the link is in the description too. And that post basically gives you lots of ideas. It's basically a massive list of different things that you can do to market your coaching business without social media. But in today's episode, I really want to focus on the getting clients kind of element of that. So do check out that episode of the show if you just want more ideas about how you can market without social media. First of all, I think it's really helpful just to quickly understand why some of us are getting pissed off with social media, because I think that there's a lot of different reasons. I think a lot of us know, and especially you health and life coaches, I think we know that it's not very good for people, and we know it's not necessarily good for us, and actually having those boundaries and that healthy relationship with social media can be quite hard. So I think there's that part of it. I think there's some really big ethical questions about it, and some of us just don't enjoy having to show up in that way. And whatever your reasons are for not wanting to be on social media, they're completely valid. I think that's totally up to you. But what I do want to say as well here is that I think with any of this, it doesn't have to be necessarily all or nothing. And you'll know inside what feels best to you, but it doesn't have to be, I'm never going to go on social media again. It doesn't mean that you have to delete all of your accounts. It can be something else. And I think really for me, the big thing is that you're not putting all of your emphasis and your whole business is based on social media, because for lots of different reasons, not least because of the way that you might feel about it, but for very practical, strategic reasons, I don't think it makes sense to put everything into social media anymore. So for me personally, I have an Instagram account and I have a private client and customer only Facebook group. Those are the two main things that I have on social media. And for me as well, just to define what social media is, for me, social media is Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, potentially LinkedIn a little bit maybe. I don't see platforms like YouTube or Pinterest as social media because they are search based. Whole other conversation I have around how Instagram and TikTok are becoming a little bit more search based, but essentially they're search based. So for me, it's Instagram, Facebook and TikTok that are the big kind of social media players that I see a lot of my clients don't particularly want to be on. I certainly want to have a healthier relationship with those platforms. So in today's show, I'm going to be talking about how can we get clients without social media, so that you have lots of different ideas about how you can do that. So if you do want to completely get out of social media, you can, or if you want to have a more balanced relationship with social media, you can also do that too. So before we dig into that, I just wanted to talk a bit about marketing kind of 101. And this probably sounds quite obvious, but I really feel like it's useful before I get into some of the other things that I'm going to talk about to just go over this so that you can see where I'm coming from with some of these tips. Now, essentially for me, when it comes to marketing a coaching business, it's really about how can we get in front of enough of the right people. And by the right people, I mean people who have the problems that you solve or who have the aspirations that you can help them achieve. It's how can you get in front of more of those right people and connect with them on an ongoing, consistent, repeatable basis and at the right volume of people as well. So there's a few different aspects of that. There's quite a lot of intricacies as well in terms of things like positioning, messaging, the sales processes around that. There's all sorts of different intricacies, but essentially that is what we're looking at. So for the purposes of today's episode, I really wanted to talk about how can we do that? How can we essentially get in front of more people and connect with them outside of social media? Now, hopefully, even me just explaining that has got you thinking, well, actually, there's loads of ways that I can connect with people that's not just on social media. And there is, and I'm going to talk about some of those now. So one of the most helpful things that I've ever had explained to me around marketing is to think of things in 3 key headings. And that's organic marketing, paid marketing, and collaborations as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what each of those look like and the potential for those in terms of getting more clients for your coaching business. So organic marketing tends to be the kind of marketing that you would do with a blog, a podcast, YouTube, Pinterest. It's again going back to that search-based stuff. Organic marketing is around creating content that is going to be found organically. And usually organically really is talking about SEO. So it's about search-based marketing, and that's a big part of what I do, big part of what I do with this show, and it's really effective. I've spoken multiple times on the show about how much I adore blogging, podcasting, and creating videos for YouTube, because for me, they are the foundation and the key to building a business that is sustainable. Because when you're doing that, you're creating content that is going to serve your business for years and years to come and still bring new people into your world. So that's the first kind of part of that equation, is organic marketing. And for me, that tends to be, certainly when we're talking about off of social media, we're talking about blogging, podcasting, and YouTube. And then onto paid. Now, paid doesn't have to just be social media. I think most of us are familiar with paid Facebook ads and paid Instagram ads, but actually you can also have paid Google ads. You can have paid ads in a newspaper. You can have all sorts of different ways of doing paid advertising to reach the people that you want to reach. You could have a paid ad in a magazine, like a trade magazine. There's all sorts of different ways that you can apply this, but paid advertising is something to explore, particularly if you want to stay off social media. Another side of it also is Pinterest ads too. So Pinterest ads, again, work in quite a similar way, I think, to Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, they're not going to be exactly the same, but I think the premise of it is quite similar. So there's lots of different versions of paid advertising that you can use. And then the final one is collaborations. Now, I think this is something that's really picked up speed in the online business, online coaching world over the last few years, because it is so effective. Now, this is really about how you can collaborate with others in a similar kind of space. And I think when I interviewed Liz Wilcox, we were talking about email-based marketing. I'll make sure that's linked above and in the description. And she was talking about like niche adjacent people, where essentially like your audience is quite similar, but what you do is slightly different. And I think that's really the key to successful collaborations, is finding the right people who are the right fit, where there's some crossover in audience, but you're not like in direct competition. And I always do that with competition, because I don't necessarily believe that there's competition in the traditional sense in the coaching industry, but it's a good way to approach it and think about it, I think. So collaborations can be things like summits and bundles. I've talked about these in last week's episode when I was talking about 23 things you can do to grow your coaching business in 2023. Again, I will link to that somewhere up above and put a link in the description box. And summits and bundles are a really good example of that, where you're working together with other collaborators, other online business people, so that you can be found by the people who follow them, and it's that cross-pollination of audiences. So there's lots of different ways that you can do collaborations. You can also do collaborations in terms of guest posting, podcast guests, and things like that. So ultimately, when you are looking at how you can get more clients off of social media, it's things within those three kind of headings that you want to look at. So it's, can you be doing organic marketing? Can you be looking at your blog, your podcast, and your YouTube? You don't have to do all three, you could just do one, but are you looking at those things? What potential might there be for paid ads? There's always some potential there that you can look at. Collaborations, how can you collaborate with others in your kind of space, niche, it's very difficult to say that with a Geordie accent. Niche adjacent. Another big thing that I want to get into as part of this, you can come offline completely, especially if you're a newer coach and you really just want to get clients in as soon as possible. Look at your existing networks, look at the people who you already know, look at your local area, look at like more traditional old school stuff, because that stuff still works even in the digital age. There's still a lot of potential for that. Again, I covered a few of those in last week's episode of the show, the 23 things that you can do to grow your coaching business in 2023. So do check that out for some ideas as well of stuff that's like offline even. So that's really about how you can get in front of those new people. But then there's a whole other part of the equation that comes after that, and it's about how do we actually start to convert some of those people into clients. And that's another part of the puzzle. And for this, I really like to think of this is a very traditional marketing kind of approach, but it's the best way that it sits in my brain, and that's your cold, warm, and hot leads. So if you imagine that you're standing in the middle of a circle, and outside from you there's concentric circles that kind of come out, The circle closest to you is your hot leads. Now, these are the people who have connected with you before. So think things like they've contacted you, they've maybe had a discovery call before, you've had email conversations with you before, like you've done a workshop in person and they've chatted to you afterwards. Those are your hottest leads. And those are basically the people who are most likely to convert into clients. Then a step back, the next circle back from that is your warm leads. So those are people who perhaps are on your email list, read your blog, listen to your podcasts, looking at your ad and starting to take action on it, that kind of thing. And then outside of that, if your cold leads, and those are people who do not know you and who have never come across you before. And what we want to be doing is moving people through those circles towards the hot leads in the middle. So we want to be taking people on a journey of building a relationship with them that takes them from cold, which is where the things like the organic, the paid and the collaboration marketing does that. It kind of brings them into the warm, but we need to be doing something from the warm to bring them into the hot. And that's where we want to be focusing on if we want to book more clients. So for me, things that really help with that little process, first of all, like I say, we need to get them from the cold. So I think it's about getting them on your email list is the first thing. So that's always a big priority for me, is like, how can I get people onto my email list and connect with them and build a relationship with them there? And then once they're on your email list, okay, so what am I doing to bring them into the middle and bring them into being hot leads? Now, just to say, this is not the one ring to rule them all rule. Like, you will always get exceptions to the rule, and I've absolutely had people who have stumbled across my website and next thing they know, they're booking on to my highest price mentoring and coaching package. So there's always exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, this is like how a lot of people's client and customer journeys look. So we want to be thinking about that. How can we do that? Things that you can do. So obviously, so just to take a quick step back, getting people onto your email list from organic kind of marketing, it's having a freebie, it's talking about something that they can get a value that you're going to offer them in exchange to get onto your email list. Paid again as well, like often I think that's the best way to use paid ads, is actually to build your list and get people back on your list. And then collaborations as well is you really want to be focusing on how can I get people on my email list and then build a relationship with them. So that's what we want to be doing. And then that kind of brings them into the warm area. And then from the warm to the hot, it's things like perhaps it's using a priceless power hour strategy, which again, I cover in a full course that I've got around priceless power hours. There's lots of other things that you can do within that kind of space to bring people into the middle and create hot leads. There's lots of engagement things you can do. And I actually cover quite a lot of those different aspects. And I actually cover quite a lot of that in my free training, Aligned Client Attraction and Marketing for Coaches workshops. I'm going to leave a link to that in the description box below. So please do go and sign up for that if you want to watch that training. It takes you through a lot of what I've just discussed basically, but goes into things in a little bit more detail. And we've got some snazzy little graphics and stuff to help you get your head around it all. But we also talk in there a little bit about slow and fast marketing and actually what you need to do to get clients more quickly. And that certainly is applicable to not being on social media in quite a big way. So do check out that workshop. It's really great. It's going to give you lots of ideas about how you can do that. So give that a try. So there we have it. We've talked about how to get more clients without social media in 2023. So just to recap, it's all about the three kind of key forms of marketing: organic, paid, and collaborations. And doing some things, if possible, under all of those would be amazing. It doesn't have to be based on social media at all. And then getting those people back onto our email list, again, through a really great freebie is usually the best way. Again, I have done an episode on this. I will try and link to that above about how to grow your email list. And once you've got them on your email list, it's about building that relationship and then getting them to take the next step into your hot leads, kind of like inner circle. And again, there's a few different ideas of how you can do that in my free training, but also the Priceless Power Hours is a really great strategy that you can use for that from the get-go. But again, there's lots of different ways that you can do that process. And it's this process that we want to be doing if we want to get clients anywhere, and that includes social media. But again, actually, when we think about how effective that is as a method of getting clients, you start to see where social media isn't perhaps the best way to do that anyway. For me, social media is a great way to build brand awareness and to connect with people more deeply, but it's not necessarily the best place to get new people and get them on your email list. I think it's a really good place to help people get to know you better, and that's what I tend to focus on with social media. But Again, you don't have to have social media at all. So I hope that's given you lots of ideas, lots of things that you can think about, and a really great approach for getting clients without social media in 2023. If this has been helpful and if you want to take this further, I'd love for you to check out, I've got 2 key offers for you. The first one, my new membership that I am going ahead with. So I spoke about this in the last few episodes, and it's the Content Marketing for Coaches Club. If you really want to focus on that organic piece that I was talking about there when we're looking at the different elements of marketing, the organic piece, the blogging, the podcasting, the YouTube, the Pinterest, the search-based content, then that membership is absolutely going to be for you. Come and jump on and take a look at that. It's really going to help you with that element if that's something that you want to build on. And honestly, I think it is something that is so fundamental for building a coaching business these days, is to have that basis of content that is going to serve your business for years and years to come. So that's the Content Marketing for Coaches Club. Do check that out. And also, if you wanted to take a step further than that, check out Wholehearted Business. That's my 6-month group program. This is where we cover all of that. We cover everything that we cover in the Content Marketing for Coaches Club, but we also look more specifically at those client getting strategies, those moving people into that hot leads kind of space. We cover that in a lot more detail, and we get into lots of other stuff, lots of mindset stuff, lots of the other aspects of business that I talked about, all those intricacies like positioning and messaging and sales and mindset and your offers. We look at all of that inside Wholehearted Business. So I really hope that's been helpful. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, and like and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.